welcome back to Nightingale's Motorcycle Restorers and Metal Finishers. Right, another trials bike up for sale. One of our customers, TLR 200 Honda. We built this bike for him approximately 2.5 years ago. He was going to ride it and then he decided just to put it on a shelf in his man cave. So we'll talk you through this one. As I say, if you're new to the channel, you've just started watching the bike side of it, we're only doing specials or motocross or something a bit different, Laverdas, CBXs, anything which is unusual. We're not doing modern bikes to sell. The idea is, being a restoration workshop, we can talk you through a few things and show you a bike close up. So we'll go on to this TLR 200 special build, just how the customer requested it at the time. Right then, so where we go on this one? He's now decided to sell it. He's selling a few of his bikes actually. I think he's just changing a bit of direction. He was mainly into trials bikes and off-road competition machines. So as a rider, he wanted something, he just likes his equivalent to what he called, you know, just out and about playing at his local club. He's not into any serious competition, but at the same time he rides modern bikes, so he didn't want to get off something old and feel like, you know, going to have a cardiac arrest or something, because they can tend to fight these in standard format, as you know. So anyway, I'll talk you through it. So what we did, we purchased a machine in. Now we paid dear on this bike when we bought it. Remember, this is 2.5 years ago. The reason is sometimes we have to buy them dear. It's not just a case of buying one in, and you see me in the workshop saying, it doesn't matter because I can do this. But there's a few things we want to look at. The main thing is the condition of the casings, because as we go on and people want these, remember this might be for polishing like the last one you've just seen. It's a overall condition of things, you know. So what we did with this one, we bought it in, we stripped it down completely, and we started the build to what the customer wanted. So the thing is, you know, where you start seeing budgets, as I say, you can run £2,000, £3,000, £4,000 more with these things on the difference in the extras after you've carried on with the engine build. So this one, it came with the original like anodized gold faded rims and rusty spokes. So what we did, instead of actually stripping it down and putting new rims and stainless steel spokes on it, we surface prepped the rims, the spokes and the hub, chewed them all up, make sure they were straight, and then as you can see close up now, we ceramic coated them incomplete. So that was the rim, spokes and actually the hub. So to front and back. The reason for this being, it saves approximately 400-500 quid on the build, but it was because the customer quite liked him. We did a sample on this. Now I do a lot of wheels within this one behind there. I've shown many times, you know, wheels, spokes, wheels, motocross bikes, and if it saves you having to strip the wheels. Now it wasn't a case of saving money for how it looked, because I knew how it'd come out, and they looked superb, I think, because the colour scheme we picked was the red, white and blue tank and seat. This has got the carcass over an alloy tank. So what we did, we stripped it right down, and again, same procedure. We took the frame back, we zinced it, powder, top coated it in white, and then clear coated it in powder lacquer. So we started with the baseline of the frame. So the next thing we did was look at the machine and think, right, what does he actually want? So I'll go back there just before I say powder coated it. The only thing we did to this one was the footrest modification of the frame, which we do, and blended it in to take the beta hangers, but we didn't do the frame stock angle. So this again is something I'm just going to talk about with things we've learned or we feel, or I've had A-class riders on, and tell you what we did on this particular bike. We didn't do any headstock angle, we just did the footrest modification. round the back of here we've got a trial section, some of the tightest trees, and have different guys of different levels riding bikes. And over the years, this has been a bit of a conversation. So what we did, as I say, before we powder coated it, we left the headstock and we moved the footrest. The only thing I did with it, I brought the stanchions up through the triple clamps, yokes, by about 6 or 7 mil, obviously lowering the front end down a little bit, just to give a little bit more sensitive on the tight turns. Now, then tweaking the shock absorbers for the guy's weight, and remember his skill level, this works really well. So we saved the cut, but we actually lifted, but we did the footrest modification, and as I said, we powder coated, zinc tip powder coated and clear coated it. The next thing was this colour scheme, what he wanted. Now, he doesn't like polishing, he doesn't like too much bling, but what he wanted to do was he wanted the engine in the black. So we stripped the engine down completely. Again, this was part of this build, and I'll tell you in a minute why it ran quite expensive, and it is getting worse in sometimes. It's all right buying bikes in, and some import bikes I get in occasionally, but I more tend to look at the casings, especially if you drop down to this one here, what you've seen on the last video, when you're trying to perfect polishing in Canning's room there to get it right. You are trying to salvage, you don't want the indentation of the Honda taken out. So there was a lot of things on this bike that we looked at when we bought it in, though it was running, but not the bike. It was in a standard TLR 200 format. So I've gone to the next thing. We retained the original carburettor and air filter box. Nothing had been molested. Refurbished the carburettor. Worked main bearings, gearbox bearings, new kickstart shaft, genuine Honda kickstart mechanism, piston, right the way through on it. Everything replaced, seals, gaskets obviously, and then one of our cylinder heads again as standard, just with the eye lift cam, double bearing, bigger valves, put on this machine. So we had the format of where we wanted to be. It was a nice rideable, classic machine, which isn't gonna knack you riding it, because some of them are horrendous to ride. I think what it is, you're conscious that, you know, when they first come, the brakes are so bad, and a few tweaks and different cables. So then you're starting to look at the bike, and everybody wants this, you see. All these mudguards and all this flash. It don't mean anything. You can stick these on an ordinary trail bike, and it don't get you anywhere, but they're all excited to get this. It's the last thing for us here. So new fork stanchions, inners, seals, headstock bearings, shoes obviously, cables, thicker brake cable, obviously to give us a bit more leverage on the front brake. Does help it on these. Just set it up a little bit different, because as I say, we used a bit out of the stanchions. We'll let 2 A-class riders, the difference between some frames I've got at the moment with 2 degrees, even a 3-degree tuck on the headstock, and then on this machine at the time. And since then we've never stopped kind of looking back. So it's come back in for sale. So put some new mudguards on it, new tyres on it, changed sprockets, everything else. Internals have all been done, and it's a beautiful looking bike, you know. As I say, took it home and put it in his man cave. He didn't ride it. Never been on mud, and it's probably done not even a mile since I built it, or we built it in here. Domino throttle grips, usual thing, Renthal bars. So working through it, yeah, nice bike, different exhaust system on again. Again, for the difference in people are riding, we do play around with exhaust systems, because if you come to the one who wants the best sport bike, which I think, as I've said in the last video, I've got one coming in, a TLR 200 for one, in a Repsol colour, so that should be good. But he wants a bit more on the technical side. Happy with the engine. I mean, if you ever come and we get to a point, if it is a sunny day and we let this go out to have a go on it, You can probably try again our RS250 TA, you know, so you're running a 250 TA engine in a TLR 250, that's what they basically were on that particular model, and you'll feel we're on the mark with it. You know, you wouldn't think you're on a 200 to 250, so don't think, oh, power side, because you know they'll get you anywhere, these things. And in comfort, when I say comfort, and put a smile on your face, that's the biggest thing. So we'll start off and tell you about the price. So this bike in the workshop to build, now they go from 7.5 up to 10,000. Now I know people at home are thinking, bloody hell, I can buy a new modern bike for that. Well, we know you can. You can go and buy an LC350 Yamaha, 30, 40 year old, and spend £6 on it and sell it for, you know, X amount of money. We're not talking that, we're talking about what it actually costs to build. Now, it cost me, it stood me in the workshop at 7,250 quid did this bike. Remember, everything's been done in-house apart from the frame. The only reason we don't do frames in the workshop here is because I let it go out to a professional welder, and it is a frame modification. So tick the boxes, you know, someone who's coded welders. So everything else is done in-house. Apart from if we ever send wheels out now, because we have a fantastic wheel builder, and every time we have things done they come back perfect, and he does work for us on many machines. And over the course now you're going to see, as I say, different bikes coming in, but they will have been looked at the magic hour on them. I ain't just taking in bikes on new stuff. I have no interest in this modern stuff and modern child's bikes. It doesn't interest me. It has to be something that's either, you know, people are altering, or they want the advice on it, or they're slowly going through the stages at home. People out there building these bikes in the workshops, which I've seen, the professional companies, I've had 2 or 3 in here. I think they make a mint job of them, and you never stop learning, that's the thing. So at home it's the same, you might have the format, but a little bit you can buy, or a bit of tips and that, you can build this. But as I say, we've got everything in this workshop to turn this out to a brand new motorcycle. So this Jen, he paid £6,000 for this bike. I actually lost money on this bike. The reason is we paid a lot of money for it, but it was because at the time, one, bike sales were higher, the stuff coming in second hand to look, it's alright saying you're buying a based on a bike, but it just wasn't right. This bike stood good, casings, fins, everything else. Plus we managed to sell a lot of it off its old format on an internet site, but it still cost us that. So £6,000 he paid. We built it over a period of a year. Our usual build times are about 6 months on something like this, because you're not building something to original. It's not an original, it's obviously these came out as trail bikes. So £6,000, so I want £6,000 back for it, and that's it. So again, people at home, bloody hell, it's only a child, but it's in anything you buy. It could be a classic car, you just spend thousands on them. You know, you spend a week in your job, what you do, and it doesn't take much when you go in a workshop on a night and you come out and you think all you've done is put 2 bolts in something. When you get deep into these things and the amount of work we put into the engine, it's literally been built right the way through, and it goes again now. Goes again, as I say, swinging arms and different triple crank yokes, and though we are putting them on the next bike as standard, it's just that you can see here the difference. We painted these white, and on this one, as I see what you're seeing on the last one, we did these highly polished these. So yeah, part of the fork stanchions were all done, new internals, obviously new stanchions, powder coated, the sump guard was powder coated. It's exactly the colour scheme how he wanted it. You can go again if you want one in here. You know, you can have you can bring a bike in, and obviously that's been paid for by yourself. So you've got the Donner bike. So this is a bike built 2 years ago. It's ready to go. We've cleaned the carb out of it. We've struck her back up again after a couple of years. Had her ticking over. We did the tests on it, obviously, when we run it up from new build. We run it through its cycle, drop the oil, and drop the oil again. and these old TLRs and the full range of TLRs and all the Honda range, I mean, they've really been superb engines, you know, even if they've been abused. But this coming down to everything when we check this, or the Rothman look-alike there, you know, end float on the crank, everything's checked, things which happen inside these engines, because it's longevity, we're trying to get to ride them, and hopefully the customer has fun. So yeah, we think we've got another one in to build as a special, that'll keep us, because they're saying restoration, don't, you know, we're not a full restoration because there's so many other things. Restoration is fallback. You do it because if it isn't, these are more simpler. But if you're restoring a classic trials bike or road bike, you'll spend more time on the internet than you will in the workshop, as you know, at home searching for parts. So yeah, so that's another one, again based in Scarborough, North Yorkshire, 01723 37099, and you can, welcome to come and have a go on these machines if you wish, subject to it being sunny, and you bring a duster with you. Yeah, so let's go on to the next. Now the next one will be an RS250 TA, Charles bike, one of ours, one of mine, and let's see what you think of that one. So until the next one, thanks for watching, do appreciate it.